The reason that South Africa and the rest of the world are experiencing such extreme weather conditions at the moment is due to the ever-expanding hole in our ozone layer. Now, the ozone layer is a belt of naturally occurring ozone gas that is meant to act as a shield from the sun's harsh rays. The problem of late, though, is that because of the greenhouse gas emissions caused by us humans, our ozone layer is thinning out. This in turn unleashes the erratic weather patterns we are experiencing. In order to curb this occurrence, we people need to become more aware of our greenhouse gas emissions. This means we need to be aware of how much carbon dioxide we are releasing into the atmosphere. How do we do this, you may wonder? We must adapt a greener lifestyle. We need to reduce our carbon footprint from industry level all the way down to the household and individually. Welcome to another exciting and informative episode of PHAKISA. And as usual, I am your host, Lerato Za. Climate change is something that is not new to us at all. Environmentalists and scientists have been warning us about global warming for decades. And judging by the winter we just came out of, looks like we are in serious trouble. My hope for South Africa is that we stop discussing the dangers of global warming, but rather have a new discussion about its causes and prevention. One of the key ways of curbing global warming is by reducing our carbon footprint. Now, this means driving less, using less electricity, and finding greener ways of mass production. I know this may seem easier said than done, but we start off today at the Department of Environmental Affairs Green Building in Tshwane because they are leading by example. Check this out.
Lefapha la rona ke mangwe a mafapha ene gore puso e a neile thata tsa go ka lebella gore Afrika Borwa e ka dira jang go ka fokotsa kgotlhelego ya loapi. Ke sona seo re tlileng ka policy ya rona re reng ke climate change response policy. Policy ya rona ya climate change re bolela gore re tshwanetse gore re dire ka natla re encourage industry tsa construction. Ke sona seo dirang le di private sector companies bo Green Building Council ya Afrika Borwa gore fa go eng kwa pele Afrika Borwa le yona e be le di industry kana construction tse le gore ka tsona re ka kgona go ka fokotsa go ikaega thata mo motlakase o fetlhelwang go tswa mo alatlheng o bakang carbon emissions o netefatsang gore dikago tsa rona di ikaega mo motlakase o tswang mo letsatsing o re bitsa re ke solar energy. Sustainable development e re bolela gore ke diphetogo tse le gore ka tsona re tshwanetse gore economy tshwanetse gole go ya kwa pele le fa ntse gola e sa rumula tikologo re netefatsa gore fa re na lefatshe ko baneng ba rona mo dingwageng tse di tlang lefatshe le tswelela pele go nna ka mokgwa ene gore re le bone re le fitlhetse le ka gona ga re ba neele lefatshe le gore le na le kgotlhelego pula ga dine di na le merwalela climate ya fetoga re bile setheo sa mathomo sa puso mo Tshwane go ka nna le ka go tshwana le rona ya green building mme re bone morago ga mo lefapha le tswana le la public service administration le lona le leng gore le gaufinyana le rona le lona le tlisitse ka go e le gore ke ya green building re bona gape kantoro tse di kgolo tsa masepala wa Tshwane le tsona tse ntseng di agiwa le tsona di tsona di green building mme ko tlase ko e leng gore ke nna le wena ko metseng ko magaeng re bona fa puso ntse ya ga ntlo tse le gore tse re bitsang gore ke RDP houses go dirisiwa mekgwa ya solar panels go ka fetlela motlakase a le gore a kgona go thuthufatsa metsi a go tlhapa go gae re tle go bona fa ntse dingwe ga di tsamaya di ya kwa pele gore tata technology ya gompieno e leng gore ke ya go fetela motlakase ka mokgwa letsatsi e tle be dirisiwa ke mongwe le mongwe mo Afrika Borwa e tle be le bokarolo mongwe jwa go aga ntlo ya motho mongwe le mongwe e le gore ka yona re tlo netefatsa gore fa ntse go diragala jalo re fokotsa kgotlhelego ya loapi.
Join us on PHAKISA, and thank you for welcoming us here to this lovely building.
Thank you for having us.
You know, una ingwe term yono fi carbon footprinting. Dikara re chief for your term. Iba ichkwamba mini zobuti.
Carbon footprinting ndi mutsi ula une wa vangi mamagani musi hono bveledzwa zvezwo zwino khou bveledzwa na mutsi ula une wa bva kha mimoḓoro zwezwi khou ḓitshimbila nga ngei murahu kha dzi exhaust mutsi yono ulai a hu tou vha na mutakalo wavhuḓi so therefore wonoyo mutsi ndi wone une wa vha u khou increase zwithu zwi no pfi world temperature. We must strive to make sure that our temperature should not go above 2 degrees.
Hey building fascinating nga maanḓa ndiko zwivhona uri huna zwiṅwe zwithu zwine na nṋe vho thathu vhuya nda zwi vhonavho ina dzi features dza interesting khumbelo vha ri ṱalutshedze uri zwi shuma hani and why these kind of features.
Your building if no sumbedza zwine nṋe ri vha zwone I can proudly say on behalf of this department that This is the only building of its kind in Southern Africa and in Africa. But the key feature for us is coast drivers car building. For the first time in this country, we have what we call an energy consumption mechanism, which is kept car 115 kilowatts hour per square meter per annum. Number two, rina building materials. Roshimisa materials are sustainable. Asoko jiazu dina na semende radara koka ravera rechpatu.
What this a fester? Eli fester litamini mamaseta.
Ka heche chipatoi arivuri mafastere ngandrea dowere ya orin. Avuru angastuznofi automatic window opening system. Iyo system yashu itecheresa temperature hapa ngangumu. Musi temperature ichipira 24 degrees. The system then senses uri. Says whether we are there or not. So here's what you could chichora in the sensor or idombo di vura heli faster la vura automatic. Here's temperature each therapy to between 20 and 24 degrees. Jambore ha elia faster lia varangalonli. Chingwe hapo ndicha uri rich daka madi. Rina imwe system ya paka building inofi rain water harvesting system. Keilanda fu itoma palapasi ichiange nta. Ndichipida cha zvilazvo zviamba zvinofi water harvesting system.
Yes.
Ridoivona zvakuti rinovange nta. Mara hapa ndosumbedzisa uri hezvi kahei bloko hezvi richiharvesta mati yamvura from the top. The water runs down this pipe, which then goes down to the basement, connect with all other blocks, as you can see even over there. They then route the water to the basement, so that the water can then be recycled. It can then come back to our bathrooms. Hapai, rina stuznofi local electricity generation. Rita mtagasi washu in the bar. Ngaimwendera hange ntakatanga ndosbets. Una stuznofi the solar panels. Ezo solar panels zita uri rine ribena 10% ya mudagasi unera generator power. Jambori rinezvi avalava Eskom richidishumisa nyana mudagasi wavo. Marina washo unera generator power. We are always upgrading our houses all the time. So if we think green, we can do better.
Ndoguda zwinji zone. Ndoguda ngamanda. I'm looking forward to seeing the other stuff that you'd like to show us. Thank you so much for your time right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Berekali Gender CC Women for Climate Justice Network, Remo the Greenhouse People's Environmental Center, Momo Dubet Park. Greenhouse project tomileka 1999. Itomiwa mokhatlo ba bitsang Earth Life Africa Johannesburg branch. Ne bana ko bontsha batho gore the issues of environment ase fela for the rural areas. Even in the inner city environment, wona lo tseleng gore o ka di dira gore o phele in an environmentally friendly way. So the city e be refa this place. Philosophy behind the Greenhouse Environmental Center ke gore batho re ka gona o phela le environment. We can coexist and re tlhokomele in such a way gore le rona e re tlhokomele. Re na le recycling center mo go recyclwang pampiri, glass, mabotlolo, dikene jalo jalo. And then re na le a small business e leng gore e bontsha go dira compost o berekisa di worms. And then re na le biogas digest mo berekisang waste di like lo tse bolang tsa mo kitchening tsa ko gardening o di kenya ka ra this big dome acting like a stomach, and then di be digested. Gas e tswa mo, then it becomes into re bitsang methane gas. So it's piped e ya bona le stove mo eleng gore then e berekiswa gore ba ka apeya ka yona, o ka sebedisa heater ka yona, o ka etsa light ka yona. Re na le Conlinia clinic e leng gore e berekisa ke batho ba bitsang di ethno doctors. Ha ba berekisa conventional medicine, ba berekisa alternative herbal medicines. Greenhouse ka bo yona e agilwe ka mabu, bricks tse ding gore a di berekise cement. E na le a lot of natural lighting, di toilet tsa teng a se flashang ke di composting toilets. Di products ka ofela tse di manufacturer mo, they are available for sale for batho ba mo inner city. So the center itself is also leona, it's open. It for example na le a child facility on the other side at the park. But we set up in the garden, we set up the same gardens so that the kids can benefit in all. There's that challenge of funding to keep the center up and running. The future plans of the Greenhouse Project obviously is to integrate the issues there, but it demonstrates them more in the entire city and its communities at large, to make itself like a green edutourism space. We're using a couple of strategies. We are running the community-based workshops. More we invite people because we've got a big conference center that takes 100 people on the other side.
You know, this is such a great project at work. I'm really enjoying seeing how agriculture and greening are working so seamlessly together, and it gives me a lot of hope for our people. Ungaindawo, we'll be back on the flip side of this. Whether you like driving or not, you might know by now that your car is a great source of CO2 emissions. All of us drivers must play a role in reducing the amount of time that we spend on the road. But if that is just too impossible for you to do, then you might want to consider getting yourself a green vehicle. Let's quickly head back to Tshwane at the Department of Environmental Affairs, where they will show us some of their green cars. How are you, sir?
Hi,
I'm Za.
Dinesh.
Pleased to meet you, Vinesh.
Well, welcome here. These are electric cars, pure zero-emission vehicles that doesn't use petrol or diesel. But to give us more details, we've got our Director Travel Services, Security and Vetting. They are specialists in this regard.
Vinesh,
Yes,
tell me about the car. The engine looks really similar to a normal car.
yeah, it's not an engine, it's an electric motor. The car is driven by a battery, it doesn't have any fuel tank.
Okay.
We charge the battery, can do up to 180 kilometers on one single charge. We normally charge it on a slow charge. This is a slow charge. This is a fast charge, it's a quick charge. It takes up to 40 minutes to get 80% of the charge on the vehicle. It's also got a regenerative braking system. So every time you brake the vehicle, it charges up the battery. You can run the vehicle about 160 to 180 kilometers on a single charge. To service the vehicle, it's very low in terms of cost because you only service the movable parts, which is very minimal. There's no engine, there's no gearbox to replace. The expense will come on your tires. When your tires are due for changing, you'll then change your tires. The electric batteries are underneath the seat. It's a lithium-ion battery that can run up to 180 kilometers like I indicated. The car is made up of 80% of recyclable material.
Oh.
So it's very environmentally friendly.
I'm quite interested to know how it runs.
You can do a test drive, but it's very, very silent. You can't hear, there's no engine, so you don't hear the engine.
Okay, fantastic. Let's see it on the road. A smooth ride and a quiet engine. Who wouldn't mind? I know I wouldn't. The work being done at the Department of Environmental Affairs really must be applauded. Now let's head down to the coast where we set our sights on carbon footprint offsetting. Quite interesting, check it out. Putbega, thank you so much for joining us, lapha PHAKISA. We firstly want to start off with carbon footprint. A lot of people still don't know what it means and how can it be offset?
The carbon footprint has to do with the impact or the mark that you leave behind based on your activities or actions, which result in the emission of greenhouse gases. These are the gases which are emitted on Earth by our activities as humans and are flowing up to the atmosphere, and they create that barrier when ilanga lishine onto Earth, ama rays can't go back, and that creates the global warming because heat now is contained within the atmosphere.
When and why was the BCRP initiated?
Where we are now, it's a landfill site. Established in 2004, we became aware because of the FIFA World Cup in 2010, and as a eThekwini municipality, then we put our systems in place to deal with the carbon emissions otherwise we created during that process.
So then, isebenza kanjani le project?
So indlela esebenza ngayo, then we did the research with what trees used to occur in this area, and then we engaged our communities. So fundisa with how to plant those trees, and then they sell them to us, and then we plant those trees on the buffer zone, and then those trees, when they grow into big trees into forest, then they'll begin to sequestrate our gases with atmosphere.
So now, how did you identify this stretch of land as the land that you would operate from?
We try to find a land which is owned by council, where there will not be disputes at a later stage.
What have been some of the benefits of a project of this nature?
Our benefits then have been twofold. One is to address our environmental issues, and two is to create awareness to umphakathi, our job opportunities, give them training around our skills and development. So almost everyone is benefiting.
Now, our future plans ukukhulisa le ndawo or ukukhulisa the actual project?
So njengamanje umasipala waseThekwini uzitholile ezimbili ngaphezulu kwale site le. Zikhona indawo ese-Inanda Mountain nase-Paradise Valley Nature Reserve, where we are doing more or less the same thing as we are doing here.
Yeah.
Ngakho konke lokho kuchazela ngako, I will now hand you over to Usisukhulile, oyi-project manager yale site, uzokukhombisa nje around izindawo engikhuluma ngazo and also explain a little bit further about abantu laba abasebenza lapha.
Ngijabule ukwazi Sisikhulile.
Ngiyajabula ukwazi.
Let's go right ahead.
this is all where we place or house ihlahla. So here, this is our holding nursery. Now that we have at least 667,000 trees, esesiyitshalile. Sinalezi ihlahla esiyibeke as insurance trees. Whatever ungahle damage ihlahla lezi esesiyitshalile.
Nayibank
yethu. Yes, nayibank yethu.
Athi sikhulume nabo mama lapha. Ninjani bo mama bo sisi?
Siyaphila.
Nathi siyaphila. Kumnandi ukusebenza la?
Kumnandi kakhulu.
Phela umsebenzi lona. Umsebenzi wokuthi khombisa abantu abaningi la ngaphandle ukuthi ungakwazi ukuthi uwenza umsebenzi omkhulu ngento eseduze kwakho noma ngathi waqhamuka inyanga ngaphandle zizoxebula lana thina siyakwazi ukuthi lokho asebekubulalile thina siyakuphindisela.
Nayike lento abakhuluma ngayo uma bathi tshala isihlahla. Stay tuned, we'll be back with more at Buffalo's Drive.
And I represent #MF, means stand for modern freaks. Modern freaks yaqala way back sase high school. And yaqalwa yimi nempintshamo China sathola vele amagency. Mina namagency saqabanga ukuthi okay, singayenzani into engasbenefita iphinde ibenefit ikasi lethu. Libe lababhizi bakhuluma ngokuthi let's recycle amaphepha, let's recycle amaplastiki. Bengangafaki like ukuthi let's recycle clothes. And then thina sabona ukuthi okay sharp leyo part leyo aba introduce ku recycling part. So thina ngcono si introduce thina as MF. We created ama bags. We created like clothing yethu. Imaterial esisebenzisayo ukuze so create lama bags sithatha vele ama factory nama waste. We had to recycle in order to save this world. We're looking at to sell our brand worldwide.
You know what? I think I need to get myself a bag as well. Kodwa ke manje masiyovakashela uSis Thembi Msomi, who through this reforestation project has managed to find a new lease on life.
Ngingumtshali wezihlahla zemvelo. Ngaqala ukwenza lo msebenzi ngo-2010. Kwathi ngelinye ilanga kwadlula abanye bacosha imbewu eduzane nje nakwa. Ngase ngimbuza ukuthi njengoba ecoshe imbewu uzoyenza. Wase yangichazela ukuthi kune project yaka Whitelands yokutshala kwezihlahla. Angizange kodwa ngiye kubona ngiyobuza ukuthi kwenziwa kanjani. Nami ngaqala ngacosha imbewu ngatshala. Ngithe sengitshalile ngaxhumana nalabo sebetshalile ukuthi ayibona nami sengitshalile. Kwase kuba yibonaka abangithathayo bayongibhalisa ke. Ngifunde okuningi ngokutshala kwezihlahla. Bengingenandaba mina nezihlahla. Kodwa kuthe ngokuqala ukutshala kwami ihlahla ngathola ukufundiseka ngesihlahla sengiyakwazi nokubeka imadlana ngani ngoba uma sekufika isikhathi sokuthi siyothenga ngemali yehlahla kunale yami engiyithola ngenyanga engikwazi ukuyithatha ngiyigcine ebank. Sisebenzisana kahle ngoba uma kuukuthi khona into ongayibona uyakwazi ukukhuluma no facilitator bese ke o facilitator kuba uyibona bakudlulisela lento ofuna ukuyazi. Okunye senza i-recycling siqoqotha ulitha amabhodlela amakopi ziningi nje izinto esiziqoqayo ukuze sonke imvelo. Siyawafaka njengoba enjalo emasakeni bese beyafika ke sebezowalanda. Inkinga enkulu nje kuba amanzi ngani ngoba mayingasekho amanzi siyasho isihlahla. Senginokuba buhlungwana ngani ngoba engathi iproject siyagcina ihlahleni. Sesizoqala kabusha ke manje sitshala okunye okuncanyana esingakakwazi kahle ukuthi kuyini. Khona kuzoba ne-challenge enkulu kwabanye ngoba amakhaya amaningi aphethwe yilezi zihlahla. Unyaka nonyaka kuyadevelop endaweni esihlala kuzona. Uma kuba kanjalo ke ihlahla bayayigenca. Kubalulekile ukuthi umuntu nomuntu abe nesihlahla asitshalayo egcekeni lakhe ukuze ikwazi ukuhlala inyoni avikeleke emoyeni ngoba kwesinye isikhathi sibe nomoya ngalendlela yexakile.
Well, I can't believe just how versatile those PET bottles are. I think I might just get myself some and bring them out on Sundays when Swizer comes out. Let's check out what our boy has because, you know, he makes everything green look really cool.
Welcome to another anticipated episode of your favorite show, PHAKISA. I'm your boy Swizer, the Caster Semenya of Hacks. Get it? Caster? PHAKISA. Well, now with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the aim of the game is to help you with ideas on how to use your disregarded household items into something fashionable, and creative. Hence, I give you the Casper Old Vest. So today we're gonna make a bag out of a vest. And all you need is basically just 4 items. You need a ruler, you need scissors, you need a marking pen or a koki if you went to multiracial school, and an old vest. But make sure that you cut it so you don't have, or wash it, sorry. So you don't have makwafa issues with it, you know? Anyway, what you're gonna do is then take your ruler, put it horizontally, almost at the bottom, right? Yiso. And you're gonna mark a line, because it serves as your border, right? Pretty simple, folks. Nothing complicated. Like I said, you don't even have a degree. You don't need a degree to do what we do. And then you're gonna make lines vertically that way. And you just mark it with a koki, like that, and that. I'll show you in a minute on how you can actually do this in less than a few minutes, actually. So your markings should look something like this. And then your vest is way too old. You need to cut it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut from the bottom up to the border. And make sure that you use sharp scissors. And if you're too young, have a responsible adult on standby so you don't cut yourself. Safety. There we go. And, well, one before one more, you know? And it should look something like this. What you then do is separate the strips and tie them together. Make sure you tie them tight so you don't leave any holes between the shirt at the bottom. So you make sure that it can actually hold something and no loopholes, you know what I mean? And it should look something like this. Goodbye.
Remember, you can have your say on our social media. Share all your green ideas with us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page. That's @PHAKISA. Our hashtag is Waste into Worth. We look forward to hearing from you and chatting. If you had asked me before today, Uti, how does one reduce carbon footprint? I honestly wouldn't have the right answer for you. But after today, now I know, Uti, it's as simple as planting as many trees as possible and making wise decisions when it comes to how you consume energy resources. I know it may seem like a mammoth task at first, Godwa. Being conscious is creating good habits. And once we do enough of that, it becomes a lifestyle. Well, that's all we have for you in today's episode, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. And from myself, Lerato Za, and the PHAKISA team, good night. We'll see you next week, Kona Lapa. Ku SABC1, Mzansi for sure. Nikumbule. Let's keep the cycle going.